This is Kane's 7th shootout. He has a best finish of 5th. Jimmy Johnson, 5-time Sprint Cup champion, plus 16 positions since the start of the race.
That team. Go ahead,
yeah, this is a couple of cars we talked about at the top of the show. Joey Logano in that 20, pushing Jimmy Johnson in that 40.
And that team has done a lot of work since they tested down here. They were not happy with their car. They didn't have speed in the car. They went home and built a brand new car for the 500, and they've really worked hard on this car, and he's from the back to the front.
And look at them catch the leaders. They are 7th and 8th. Logano, the orange car, we thought would work with his teammate Kyle Busch, but Busch is mired back in 17th.
It's co-opetition. You work with the guy that gives you the best shot at running the best. Doesn't matter what kind of car it is. It's a race car, and that's all you know.
Earnhardt and Boyer up top as Casey Kane has gone to the garage to be the first car out of tonight's Budweiser Shootout.
Look at them go down the back over there.
And look at them
3,
come.
4, 5 wide. They're going into turn 3.
Look at the next group with a big head of steam trying to catch them. Biffle on the bottom. That group was coming so fast it broke up.
Yeah, they had to lift up out of the throttle. They were closing so fast, and they lost their momentum just a little bit.
Down to the pits, Matt Yoakum.
2-time shootout winner Jeff Gordon has been running primarily in the back, and he's already learned a big lesson looking ahead to that final segment.
And they're pairing up. We better find us a partner. I mean, not for this run, but for the next one.
And he told Jeff Dickerson, his spotter, we need to find someone. Right now, he's paired up with the 78 of Smith.
We talked about speed. We are already seeing speeds at over 204 miles an hour. Some of these cars getting a push, catching another group.
Well, we knew last night they ran 203, and there were a lot of 2-car drafts that did that. Felt like tonight when everybody got out there, the speeds would go up even more. We haven't had speeds here this fast in about 20 years now.
Jeff Burton led 2 laps appearance. Look at all the paired up cars. Why is it that 2 cars work so well, 3 cars in a row doesn't work at all?
Well, you got a pusher and a shover, and if you get another car in there, the guy behind, the third guy, messes the whole rhythm thing up.
Seeing a lot of teammates, but the one thing about it, that group leading, that's not teammates. In fact, that's a Chevrolet and a Toyota right there.
Well, your friends are where you find them. Tony Stewart leads the Budweiser Shootout at Daytona.
Around here, 203, 4, 5, 6 miles an hour, and these cars look more comfortable. They look like they're doing it easier than they do when they run 195 or 190 miles an hour. Just with ease and no problem.
Still 2x2 at the front. Jeff Burton leading. You're watching from Jimmy Johnson.
2 wide inside.
This was a lap ago.
2 wide inside. More coming. 2 wide inside.
Let's go.
Man, that's what he said. That's what Logano just said. Go, man, go.
Teammates on the bottom, Jeff Burton and Kevin Harvick, 31 and 29. A very unlikely pair. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kyle Busch paired up, and then Kevin Harvick, 2-time defending champion of this race, with Mark Martin.
That right there shows you how much you slow down when you don't stay tied to the car in front of you.
17 laps complete, 18 in 7 more. We will have the halftime break.
The 5 and the 29, they just made the swap up there in the middle of the corner and did it real nice. They didn't lose any time. They didn't lose any speed. And the 22 of Kurt Busch said, you go in front and let me push you and see how that works.
And let's explain why they need to do that, Larry, why one driver just can't stay behind the other for too long.
Well, you need air flowing through the front end to cool the water in the radiator. And when you stay back there for so long, you're getting no airflow, so you have to swap. But you want to do the swap as quick as possible because that slows the tandem down the least amount.
9 lead changes among 4 drivers so far. Kyle Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr. swap positions.
And we got to look at the average speed, 195 miles an hour at this point.
Now, Kyle Busch has come from 21st to leading this race in 18 laps.
Hold the phone. 3rd place.
Well, he led it for a little bit.
4th place.
Now arriving at gate 12.
How quickly
13.
things change. Krista.
The ultimate example of teamwork with the 31 and 29. Kevin Harvick telling his teammate Jeff Burton, just tell me where you want to go. Jeff's command, I am going to protect the bottom. And then Jeff Burton's new spotter, Brett Griffin, just came on the radio moments ago and said, here, kitty, kitty.
But that's interesting, Krista, because these teammates, they can talk to each other by way of two-way radio.
Jeff Burton in the 31 has never won the shootout. His best finish in this event is 5th.
Right now, it takes such concentration to do what these guys are doing at this speed. I wouldn't want a lot of people messing with me right now. I got to focus.
Kyle Busch by himself on the bottom. Kevin Conway is right there. Busch comes up. Pardon me, Greg Biffle. I'm going through.
Yeah, Greg Biffle in that 16 car, the lone Ford up there in this group, the top 10.
Looking from Biffle at Tony Stewart, the outside pole sitter. Michael Waltrip ripped off a lap over 2:06. So did Kyle Busch as they were catching groups of cars.
And we saw that in practice, Mike. The Toyotas were super, super fast in race trim.
The closing rate on the front group of cars is exceptional. It'll take your breath to watch how fast one pair of cars can catch a pair up ahead.
By yourself, you run 184 miles an hour. Right now, we're running 205, 206.
See, Jeff Gordon in that 24 car worked his way up toward the front, getting a push from Clint Boyer in a 33. It's almost like Clint had to back off, Mike, because his car was maybe getting a little too warm.
4 laps to the break, and during those 10 minutes the teams will be able to add fuel, tires, and do anything they would on a normal Sprint Cup pit stop. Tomorrow, who will win the pole and the front row for the Great American Race? You'll see it live on Fox tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Daytona 500 qualifying.
After running this fast tonight, Larry, tomorrow afternoon you say, wait, man, this thing won't go anywhere. It won't run out of its own way.
Jeff Gordon up there with Clint Boyer chasing the 2 Childress cars.
Yikes.
Ryan Newman in that 39
it's getting a little tight.
Out of bounds.
A little tight right there. Newman was really pushing the issue.
Watch that double yellow line because NASCAR watches it closely. You're not allowed to advance your position beneath the yellow line.
I believe Newman gave that back to Joey Logano because that was a borderline pass.
But there's a pass for the lead. Kevin Harvick in that 29 giving his teammate Jeff Burton that push.
And a good example of that closing rate as 2 pair of cars come up on the lead pair.
Yeah, here's where the problem's going to be right here. You got a lap car down on the bottom there. Really going to bottle these guys up here for a second off turn 4.
It's Derek Cope in the 64, the red and yellow car.
Woo! I bet these guys will be glad to take a break. They've been holding their breath quite a bit here for the last several laps.
That will happen in 2 laps. We've been caution free so far. Only 1 car out of the race. That is Casey Kane.
I got to believe that's the fastest 20 laps I've ever seen. 196 miles an hour average.
And still, look, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cars in contention to lead the next lap.
Joey Logano in that 20 pushing Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car on the bottom of the racetrack right against that double yellow line.
And look, here comes Kenseth up the high side with his teammate at Roush Fenway Racing, Carl Edwards in the 99.
And really what you're trying to do right now is figure out where do I need to be and who do I need pushing me to win this thing when it comes down to the end of the day.
But I have been thoroughly impressed, and this could go away near the end of this race, those 2 Richard Childress cars, Jeff Burton and Kevin Harvick, how much they've worked together in these first 24 laps.
And whatever NASCAR rule change they made so you couldn't stay tucked up under each other very long, I don't think it's working too good because that 29 has been glued to the back of that 31 for about 10 laps now.
You're watching 4 Chevrolets and 2 Toyotas on the point as they battle for the lead, and in 1 more lap we will get the halftime break. Dale Jr. said in pre-race, I want to try to get to the front before the end of the 25 laps so I have a good restart spot for the final 50. He's done it, but can he stay there? Here they come to lap 25. This would be the final lap scored. It's Burton and Harvick scooting out front, Junior by himself, and then Matt Kenseth.
12, the top 12 cars within a half a second of each other.
we got this season started or what?
But I think that coming to the line right there tells you what these guys can do when it's money lap.
Breathe, DW, breathe.
My heart is about to pound out of my chest.
Halftime coming up in the Budweiser Shootout at Daytona, live on Fox. Come to pit road during this halftime break, and there at the head of the line is Dale Jr., and right near him, Matt Yoakum.
Lessons already learned, Mike Joy. Dale Jr. told Steve Letarte on the radio, I would prefer to work with the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, not because he didn't like working with Kyle Busch. It's just the fact that Busch's bumper didn't seem to mesh as well with Junior's. It said it pushed Junior all over the place. The 48 he worked well with during practice, but he said once you get with somebody, it seems like you're stuck with them. So once you find somebody, that's your wingman. Krista?
Different strategies for teams during this break. Jeff Burton's team electing to take fuel only. They did not make a tire change. The plan for the 29, his teammate, was to make a 4-tire change. Jeff Burton and Kevin Harvick talking to each other during that segment and saying, quote, this is fun. Dick Berggren?
Jimmy Johnson started in the 23rd spot, worked his way up to 5th with Joey Logano pushing him. They got passed by just about everybody. Back to 15th. He's now 5th, Krista. Or Steve.
Well, Dick, an interesting observation by Mark Martin. He and Kurt Busch were running in the top 6 together. However, when they swapped to help cool the engine down, they dropped like a rock. Mark said, we're not fast enough with the 22 pushing me.
Everybody on pit road for service and adjustments. Then we'll line them up for 50 laps to complete the Budweiser Shootout.
Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires from one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into ours. Goodyear, more driven, as NASCAR on Fox welcomes you back to Daytona International Speedway. We're at the break after 25. We have 50 laps to go in the Budweiser Shootout, and Jeff Burton with help from his teammate. We talked about two-car tango. His dancing partner, Kevin Harvick, pushing him out to the lead. They've led the most laps. Jeff Burton has at 13. He's standing by with our Chris Devoto.
Thanks, Chris. RCR teammates definitely leading this Daytona dance right now, leaning in the car with Jeff Burton. So obviously you and Kevin Harvick are doing things right. What do you need to do differently, or do you just need to do the more of the same thing in this next segment?
Well, I think we learned an awful lot. I mean, we're not used to racing like this. It's a whole other environment. So we learned more in 25 laps than we did in 4 days of testing. So, obviously we can do a few things better, but we got to keep communicating and looking at all the little stuff, because you make one little mistake, it's a big time difference.
Thanks, Jeff. Steve?
Krista with Denny Hamlin. Denny, we heard you at when the caution came out. You said every time I got a run, somebody got on my right rear. What exactly are you learning 25 laps?
Well, you're just trying to figure out how long you could push. For us, it seemed like it was pretty decent amount of time, but it's just so tough to, once you do get up front, even if you got a two-car draft going, the wake is so big that allows the other two-car packs to catch up immediately. So it's kind of a yo-yo effect, and really it's tough to stay up front. So it's pretty good. What's tricky is when you get a big run going and you got two-car packs that are side by side, someone's got to go somewhere, so that's where it gets kind of dicey.
All right, good luck, Denny. Back to the hotel.
All right, yeah, thanks, Steve. It's funny, you didn't see anybody out by themselves, at least near the front. It was all these two-car tangos that we talked about. You were listening in on the radio communication between Jeff Burton and Kevin Harvick.
And the thing is so interesting. We saw this during testing down in January, Chris, and you had to get hooked up. Your teammate was so important if you could work with him. And right now we're seeing the 31 and the 29 pull this thing off picture perfect. But what I did pick up on is the lead car has to treat the rear car as one. I mean, they've got to be able to work together, and that's where the spotters have really come into play here tonight. They're working extra hard to be able to find these guys a hole, keep them out of trouble. You see them up there way above the Daytona International Speedway. They've got to be on their toes, because all this stuff is happening at a faster rate than even they've been expected to, and what their training has been working with all these years. I mean, these are speeds. I mean, they are really fast.
We've hit over 200. Carl Edwards currently 7th. He's standing by with our Dick Berggren. Dick?
Well, Carl, we've never seen a race quite like this. How do you win this thing?
You know how I was having all that trouble with my helmet? I haven't thought about that once. This is crazy, man. I don't know how you're going to win it, but I'll tell you what, I have to have more trust than I've ever had in the guys that I'm around. When I was pushing Matt, I couldn't see through his car. And so he had to have a huge amount of trust for me not to push him into something bad. And when he's pushing me, it's the same thing. You get up to a group and you think, oh boy, this could be insane. But everybody's doing a really good job, and it's just it's white.